Dre all day.
Tuned into the show, you learn the discipline to show up day after day, to do the work, the confidence to put yourself out there boldly and authentically, and the mental toughness to continue showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there, even when the success you've expected to achieve is yet to be achieved. And on top of all this, you get a huge dose of personal initiative, which is the go-getter energy that moves any one of us, including yourself, to go and make things happen instead of waiting for things to happen. And then we put all this together into a series of frameworks, approaches, insights, strategies, and techniques, all underneath the umbrella of one unifying philosophy that is called work on your game. My name is Dre Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day, and welcome to the show. And today's topic, your unacceptable list. You didn't know there was a such thing as an unacceptable list. Well, now you know, because I'm going to explain to you what it is, why it exists, why you need one if you don't have one, and how to actually use it on a consistent basis. Before we get into that though, first let me tell everybody that I have a daily motivation text message that I send out every single day for free to everyone who is in my texting community. Now I'm going to assume, since you are listening to this show, that you want to be in that texting community and get my free daily motivation text every day. So here's what I'm going to tell you. I'm going to tell you how to do it. All you got to do is text me at my number. It's the same number I'll be texting you from. It is 305-384-6894. Text me at that number right now. Not 2 minutes from now, not later on today. Text me at that number right now. And every day you're going to be getting my daily motivation for free straight to your phone. That number, once again, 305-384-6894. Now, this topic of your unacceptable list. Not a list that is unacceptable, but your unacceptable is the name of the title of the list, is the unacceptable list. Now, we all understand the concept of goals. I think anyone listening to this show understands the concept of having goals. If you don't know about setting goals or how to go about doing it, go read my book called The Mental Workbook, which you can see right here over my right shoulder if you're watching this on video. The goals are the things that you want, right? Writing down goals, the things that you want to achieve, who you're going to be, what you're going to do, what you want to have, all covered in the mental workbook. We all understand that topic, at least on a basic level. Today is about the inverse of goals, not necessarily the opposite, because the opposite of goals would be failures. We don't want to make a list of failures, but the inverse is understanding that goals are things that you do want. The unacceptable lists are the things that you don't want. These are things you absolutely don't want in life and how to handle them when you see them. And there's a strategic reason why you want to list out the things that you absolutely do not want in your life. And that's what you will come to understand through today's masterclass. So let's get into the points. So I don't have to do any more explaining of this without giving you the points, which will explain it by themselves. Point number one, topic once again is your unacceptable list. Goal setting, this is the first point. Goal setting can be hard to do sometimes for some of us because sometimes it's hard for people to envision the things that they want, especially when it comes to the being part, which is intangible. It's something that you can't see and it's something that you can't measure. So it can be a challenge for people to set goals in that way. It can be a challenge to take note of things that you want in life, especially if there are a bunch of things that you've never had before, things you've never experienced, or maybe you never even come close to. Maybe you don't even see yourself as worthy or capable of having them. Sometimes it's hard to set goals when that's kind of the challenge that your mind is going through. Some things that you may want as goals may be so far out of reach from where you're at least according to you, at least by your thoughts, that it's hard to even fathom that you could really do it. So you might state something as a goal, but you don't have any real belief that you could get there. I understand that this is a possibility for some people. And that's why I wrote the mental workbook. And that will help you immensely with that. And it will help you get clear on those goals and to break down systematically how you can get there from here, meaning where you are right now today. But here's another way to get started when it comes to setting goals. And this is a way that most people won't tell you about, but that's why I'm here to tell you about it. Asking yourself the following question. What are the things in your life that you absolutely hate? Goals are the things that you want, things that you love, the things that you would welcome with open arms. What are the things that you want to push away, get rid of, delete, destroy, eliminate, never have again? What are those things? Write those down. Things that you cannot stand being true about your life right now. Things that you absolutely cannot allow to exist for even one more day. What are those things? That's your unacceptable list. This, at least the start of it. These are the things that would go on that list. Again, this is your unacceptable list. The things that are just not okay. You do not want them to be the case. You hate the fact that they are the case. You hate that you had to deal with this right now. And you never want to deal with this ever again. And whatever it takes to make sure it never happens again, you're willing to do it. Those things go on your unacceptable list. What are they? If you have trouble setting goals, I guarantee you won't have any trouble writing these things down. And I guarantee everyone who's listening to me right now, especially those of you who are ambitious, especially those of you who are driven, those of you who have goals, you have things you want to achieve, you have a vision for who you want to be and where you want to go in your life, you don't have a problem with these. I know you don't, because those are the people who are in my programs. Those are the people who are reading my books. You're in my masterminds. You're working with me one-on-one. I know you have goals. I know you have things that you want to achieve and things that you're working towards. And there are things that come up in the process of you getting there that really get in your damn nerves, getting on your nerves, getting in your way, that you really want to delete and get rid of. I know this, again, because these people tell me these things directly. So what are those things? Write them down. Write down everything that is completely unacceptable that's going on in your life or your business right now. To give you an example, I did a speaking gig once. This was a few years ago. I remember this gig. The organization reached out to me. I had dealt with this organization in the past. I had done something for them when they didn't know who I was at first. I came into their world, did a presentation for them, and I shined. They liked it, and the people who had seen me liked me so much, and so when it was time for them to do this type of event again, they reached out to me first and they said to me, Dre, you got like the highest reviews and most people talking about you from the first presentation, so we want you to come back and do another presentation, do a bigger one this time. And I told them what my fee was. They did not have the fee. They couldn't pay me my full fee. So I gave them a discount on my fee. All right, that was mistake number one. Didn't know it was a mistake at the time, but it was a mistake looking back on the situation. So I gave them a discount on the fee, but I wanted to do this event. So I said, all right, we'll do it. I'll give you a discount. Then they told me, even though you're giving us a discount, they didn't say that part, but they said we can't pay you up front because based on the way that our business is set up and the accounting and the person who I was talking to, they had to go to this person, that person had to go to somebody else, that person had to go to somebody else. It was all these layers in between me and the actual, the check writer, the person who was getting the money. That was mistake number two, again, which I didn't know at the time. They told me they couldn't pay me up front. They had to pay me after I had actually delivered at the event. Okay, so I gave them I compromised on that one too. So that was the second mistake. Again, I didn't know any of these things up front, but these things happened looking back. Then, even after the event, I over-delivered at the event, was great at the event, again, if I may say so myself. These mofos, even after that, were taking too long to give me the discounted rate that they were supposed to pay me after the event. They still took too long to give me my money, even then, after the event. So I remember emailing with these folks, and this is one of those organizations where when you reply to an email, you're replying all, and there's like 6 people on the email chain, and you only know who most of these mofos are, and they haven't paid you your money, and this person's saying this, and we're working on this, and we got to call this person, it's going to take this long. And I was getting really pissed the fuck off. Not really so much at them. I was pissed off at them, but it wasn't really them, it was myself, because I don't think they were lying about any of the things that they were doing. I don't think they did anything the way they did it just to annoy me. I think they did it that way with everybody, and I just happened to be the person that they were dealing with in this moment. So I don't think they did it purposely to agitate me. But I was really pissed off about the situation. So I remember when this happened. I remember this specific situation. I was sitting in a jacuzzi at the pool in the building I was in at the time. And I was so pissed off that I started writing down on my phone a list of things that would be unacceptable for me moving forward when it came to business, because this just sparked something in my mind. Y'all ever had it happen when you have some situation, an isolated situation happening in your life or at work that is really pissing you off, and because it's pissing you off so much, you start thinking about all the things that you allowed or accepted, or maybe you just were ignorant of, that allowed that situation to occur in the first place. And then you start thinking, all right, I'm not going to let any of these things happen again. But while you're on the subject, what happens? Your brain starts feeding you, because I told you, your brain is the best personal assistant you ever have in your life. When you start thinking about all these unacceptable things over here, then your brain starts telling you, hey, what about all these unacceptable things over here? And what about those unacceptable things over there? And the unacceptable things over there? Your brain will just give you more of what you're already thinking about. So when you start thinking about all the things that you've been tolerating and compromising on that are really pissing you off in one area, you're going to start noticing all those things in other areas too. Your brain is just going to start telling you, hey, don't forget about these and this one and this one and this one and this one. So I started doing that this is where this idea came from of the unacceptable list. And again, this was years ago. I started writing down all the things that were unacceptable that had been happening to and for and because of me in business. And notice my wording there. I'm taking ownership of the situation because, again, I'm the one who accepted that they'll give me a discount. I'm the one who accepted that they'll pay me after. I'm the one who accepted these things. I put myself in a position for this thing to be happening. So that's why the unacceptable list is not just about what other people are doing wrong. It's also about what you allowed them to do wrong, what you positioned yourself to allow to happen. That's the ownership part, because if you don't take ownership, then you can't do anything about it. So I started writing down all the things that would be unacceptable for me moving forward in business, because it wasn't really about the dollar amount. And it wasn't really about them, taking so long to give me the money and all of those things. It was about that, but it wasn't. It was about the fact that my stature in business, my posture in business, the way that I was showing up in business was not being respected highly enough for me to make the kind of demands that I wanted to make, to where that situation couldn't have possibly happened. You understand what I'm saying here? And I want you to pay very close attention to my verbiage and what I'm saying to you here, because everything I'm saying to you here is me taking ownership of that situation occurring. Yes, it was them who didn't have the money. It was them who couldn't pay me up front. It was them who was taking long to give me the money, but it was me who accepted that shit. So I'm the one who's responsible, because I guarantee you the next person who came along and did the same thing, that person was willing to accept it. That ain't my business. But my business is I didn't want that thing to happen to me anymore. So what did I do, or what did I not do? What did I accept or not accept that put me in a position for that to happen? Those things went on my unacceptable list so that I knew that wouldn't happen ever again. All those things that I just told you about, the money, the time, them taking long and all that stuff and paying me after, all of those are merely symptoms of my real business reality at the time. The business reality was that I just wasn't showing up as the type of person and to be respected as the type of person who can make demands. And when that changed, all the symptoms went away. It was me who needed to make adjustments. It wasn't them who needed to adjust. It was me who needed to adjust. And the way that I started the adjustment was writing down my unacceptable list. Okay, none of these things ever going to happen again because they're going on my unacceptable list. These are non-negotiables. And guess what? That hasn't happened since. Point number 2. Today's topic, once again, is your unacceptable list. Number 2, this is very important. Everything I say is important, but this is important. Do not rationalize the unacceptable. Nico, leave this pause in there. I want to make sure, I want this one to sink in. Do not rationalize the unacceptable. Everybody knows what that means when I say rationalizing the unacceptable. Let me give you a definition of this word, rationalize, so everybody knows what I'm talking about here. Rationalize means to attempt to explain or justify something, such as your own behavior, with logical, plausible reasons, even if those reasons are not true. That's what it means to rationalize. Basically means to make something sound okay in your mind, or justify something in your mind, even when you know you're telling yourself some bullshit. That's what rationalization is. It's basically making up a story to make something okay when you know that thing is actually not okay. What I'm telling you here, this is point number 2, do not do this with things that are unacceptable. See, that situation that I just told you about. I did this speaking gig. They didn't have all my money. They didn't pay me up front, and then they were late paying me even after the event. I could have easily rationalized that. Like, hey, I got the speaking gig anyway. I got video from it. A bunch of people shook my hand after the event. People, they'll start following me on Twitter during the event. All these things did actually happen. They took a bunch of nice pictures, which looked great. I got great feelings and a great ego boost because when I got off the stage, everybody wanted to shake my hand. All these things actually happened. I sold some books at the event. All these things happened. I could have easily rationalized the story that I just told you by telling you about all the positive things that came from it. But notice I didn't mention any of those when I was telling you why it was unacceptable. Why? Because they were unacceptable. Despite the fact that there were some positives that came out of the event. All right, I'm not saying the whole thing was terrible. It was a fine enough experience, but there were some things that were completely unacceptable. I could not allow myself to rationalize it away, because if I had rationalized it and came up with a story in my mind and made it okay, guess what would have happened? Somebody else would have did that to me a month later. And I would have had it happen again and again and again, to the point that it almost became my normal way of operating. All right, my full fee is not really my full fee because I keep accepting less than it, so it's not really a fee. and I don't really need to get paid up front because I keep accepting getting paid on the back end, and you don't really have to pay me on time because I keep accepting people paying me late. I could have easily rationalized that situation. What I'm telling you to do is never ever rationalize something that you deem unacceptable. This requires a high level of, first of all, discipline to know what is unacceptable and not accept anything that's beneath that line. Secondly, confidence to communicate to others and to yourself what is unacceptable and not accepting anything less. Third, a level of mental toughness, because when you have an unacceptable list and you have a line that can't be crossed, you're going to run into some conflicts. There are going to be some challenges and you're going to have to stand on that. And there may come a time where you're going to have to say no. There's going to come a time where you're going to have to piss somebody off. It's going to come a time when you're going to have to disappoint somebody, because if something's unacceptable, that means it's unacceptable. All right, it's not unacceptable with an asterisk. It's unacceptable, period. And it's going to require a level of initiative because you're going to have to enact these rules. So you see how all the principles, what we talk about here on this show, apply to what's unacceptable: discipline, confidence, mental toughness, personal initiative. I'll tell you an idea that I got from Tony Robbins. Heard him say this. He said, look at all the areas of your life where things are not ideal. I want everybody to do this. All right, and everyone here has an answer to this. You don't have to say it to me. Don't even say it out loud. Just think about it. Look at every area of your life where things are not ideal. And in these areas, here's what you're going to stop doing. Stop doing what most people do. What most people do is rationalize those situations and make them seem like they're not so bad, not as terrible as they actually are. Don't do this anymore. Okay? Don't do this anymore. Anywhere in your life where things are unacceptable, let it be known that they're unacceptable. Make it clear to yourself that they're unacceptable. Make it clear to whoever you're around once you have your unacceptable list and your strategy for what you're going to do about it. Make it clear to the people who are involved that this thing is unacceptable. And draw a line in the concrete. Not a line in the sand, but a line in the concrete. Because a line in the sand can get washed away by a wave. Draw a line in the concrete that does not allow this situation to happen again. Why you should stop rationalizing away things that are unacceptable is because this is what happens when something small becomes something big. Some small annoyance becomes a big pile of shit in your life. You know how that happens? Is because a little thing happens that is unacceptable, but you let it go. You let it slide. You rationalize it. You explain it away to yourself. And then what happens is that thing gets a little bit bolder, and then it goes a little bit further. Then a little bit further the next time, a little bit further the next time, to the point that now you can't do anything about it. Or at least you feel like you can't. And now it has all this momentum against you, and it has all these precedents before it because you allowed it last time. Why not allow it this time? And now you got this situation. This is what happens. We allow small shit to become big shit because we rationalize. And we let little things fester for so long that they become normal, to the point that we become numb to our own bullshit. This is what we do. Not only must the unacceptable things be changed, you must change them, and you must change them now. To paraphrase this, it's something that I've heard Tony talk about now. Not only must it change, I must change it, and I must change it right now. That's your mindset. I need to say it again. You want to write it down? Here it is. It must change, I must change it, and I must change it right now. 3 things. Got it? Let me say it again. All right. I heard a guy named Dan Kennedy. He's a sales and marketing guy. Been around for a long time. He said the following. I'm going to quote what he said here. So listen to this quote. This is from a guy named Dan Kennedy. Quote, I find few people have extreme clarity. Few people enforce rigid rules. People shrug it off, excuse it, hope it will improve, give one more chance 50 times. Settle, compromise. They draw a line in the sand, then back up and draw another and another. I do find that exceptionally successful, powerful, and rich people behave differently. They live by absolutes. If you do not find something harmful to your business's maximum success or accomplishment of your goals utterly, absolutely unacceptable, you won't muster enough urgency and force of will to get it fixed. When it is difficult and other people and circumstances conspire to slow you down or dissuade you, you'll be slowed and dissuaded. You have to be enraged, not just annoyed. terrified, not just worried, demanding, not just wishful, close quote. That's a very powerful quote there from Mr. Kennedy. And it all of this drives home this point here I'm giving you in point number 2. Not rationalizing the unacceptable. When something is not okay for you or with you, stop telling yourself that it is okay. Stop lying to yourself that it's all right. Stop telling yourself that it's going to be better the next time, even though you're not going to do anything to make sure that it's better the next time. This is what mediocre people do. This is what average people do. This is what people do that sets them up for losing in life, is when something's unacceptable, they just come up with a rationalization, a bullshit story to make it okay. Stop allowing it to be okay. Allow it to be not okay, because when you recognize and identify that something's not okay, that means you're going to do something about it. And people who get into power in life do things about stuff that they don't like. People who become mediocre and stay mediocre in life, they do nothing about things that they don't like. Why? Because they're able to rationalize and tell themselves stories. See, this is the thing about being human that separates us from animals, is that we can craft stories in our minds. This is how we're able to predict, and we can see into the future. Animals, your dog or your cat, can't think about the future. All they know about is the very moment that they're in. They don't understand the projecting the future and thinking about what's going to happen tomorrow. They're only thinking about the moment. Humans, we have the ability to do this, to look into the future, to look back into the past, think about things that are happening right now that we can't see. Animals can't do that. And it's a great power for humans. This is why we're able to dominate the world, but it's also a weakness for us, because we can daydream about things being better even though we ain't doing shit about making them better. This is why the unacceptable list matters. What are you going to do to change that situation? How much power do you have to change it? And how soon are you going to do something about it? Point number 3. Today's topic, once again, we are talking about the unacceptable list. Is that point number 3 or point number 4? Yeah, point number 3. People will do more to eliminate pain than we will do to achieve pleasure. This is an important thing to understand if you're a salesperson. If you want to sell something to somebody, you on average have an easier time getting people's attention if you note something that is painful to them than if you note something that's pleasurable for them. For example, if you're selling personal training, you could say, hey, I'll help you get 6-pack abs. That will get some people to sign up. But I guarantee you'll sell more clients if you only have one generic message, if you said something like, hey, how would you like to have your husband start looking at you the way he looks at the girls in the magazines? How would you like to have girls looking twice at you when you walk around on the beach instead of looking at your friends who have no better muscles than you? How would you like to not have the bully kick sand in your face next time you go to the beach, or something along the pain? If you point out somebody's pain, you get their attention more quickly and acutely than if you point out some pleasure that person wants to achieve. Excuse me. People are more apt to take action to get rid of a pain than they are to take action to achieve a pleasure. We will do more to avoid losing $5 than we will to gain $5. Why is this? Just the wiring of human beings. I wouldn't sign up for the class of going deep into why exactly that is, but I do know that it is true. Go test it out in your own life and you can report back to me what you found. Pain gets our attention just more quickly than pleasure gets our attention. So knowing this, the unacceptable list is a great tool to move you to action and get your ass off the couch and active in creating the life, business, relationship, body, mindset, etc. that you want but don't yet have. Your unacceptable list should move you to action faster than your goals list will move you to action, but they can work together. I'm not telling you not to have goals. Goals still matter. But your unacceptable list, I guarantee, will light more of a fire under your ass than the goals list will light a fire under your ass. Why? Because again, human beings are more acutely aware of things we don't want than we are of things we do want. If you know that you've been bullshitting yourself, you know you've been putting things off, you know you have not been as consistent as you need to be, you've been unmotivated, you've been procrastinating, the unacceptable list will pick up where your goals left off. Everybody following me? What's unacceptable to you will move you to actions that your goals will not move you to do. Your goals can only take you but so far, but the unacceptable list will take care of the rest. So use a combination of both. When my goal was to play pro basketball, I used the unacceptables of my career ending after college, or my old college coach maybe proving himself right to move myself to massive action that resulted in reaching the goal. So I took the things that I felt were unacceptable to push me to do the things that were on my goals list. So they work together. They're not working against each other. They work in conjunction. Point number 4. Today's topic again is your unacceptable list. I want you to really, if you really think about it, I want you to notice what this unacceptable list is really about. What it's really about are parameters, principles, rules, standards, quality control. Successful people have all of these things in place, and they accept nothing less than their standards being met. Let me say that again. Successful people have parameters, principles, rules, standards, and quality control in all areas of their lives, not just work, not just home, everywhere. And they do not accept anything less than their standard. So let's back up here. First of all, successful people have standards. Let me ask you a question. Do you have standards? Do you have standards? This is not a rhetorical question. Well, it is a rhetorical question from me to you, but it's not a rhetorical question from you to you. Do you have standards? And what are they? Do you know what they are? Because all successful people have them. In episode 1974, I told you that standards were the enemy of mediocrity. In episode 2097, I told you that standards still matter. Episode 1026, your standard is the best that you can do. In episode 1291, how to raise the standards of a group. Successful people have standards and they don't accept anything less. Now, if you don't even have standards, how can you be successful? What is your personal culture? What is the culture of your business? What's the culture of your family? What's the culture of your neighborhood? We talked about culture in episode 1986, your personal and professional culture. The basketball team down here in Miami, where I live, called the Miami Heat, they have a certain level of conditioning that their coaching staff requires of any player who's going to play in a game. So if a player, let's say a player got injured and they missed 30 games in the middle of the season, they're ready to come back and they say, hey coach, I'm healthy, ready to play again. The coach is going to force that player to pass a conditioning test that are certain standards set by the team that until the player passes that conditioning test, they're not allowed to play in the game. And this applies to all players. When Dwayne Wade played for the Miami Heat, he got injured and came back to play. He had to pass the conditioning test before he was allowed to play in the game. In the preseason, before the season even begins, every player on the roster has to pass a conditioning test that is based on their position and whatever position you play. You have to pass a conditioning test before you will be allowed to put on a uniform and play in the game. This is a real thing. Certain level of conditioning met that you must meet to suit up for the games. What is that? It's a standard. Jeff Bezos, the Amazon guy, he is quoted as saying, if you want a work-life balance and you don't want to do 70-hour work weeks, Amazon is probably not the place for you. What was he doing? He was letting everybody know what the standard is. Here, we don't do work-life balance. Here, you're going to work all day. Here, you're going to work and you're going to work 70 hours every week. This is not about it being right or wrong. It's about drawing your lines and not compromising on them. Just like I told you that Dan Kennedy quote in point number 2. Drawing your lines and not compromising on those lines. The most successful people are uncompromising about what their lines are. There's a guy named Luke Longley who he played center for the Chicago Bulls back in the 90s when they were winning the championships. And he's from Australia. So he wasn't in that Michael Jordan docuseries they had a couple years ago. He wasn't even in it because he was all in Australia. They didn't get him on film. But one of the things that Luke said when he did an interview that I read years ago, when of course they asked him about Michael Jordan. And one of the things that Luke said to describe Mike was, this is the word that he used, the phrase that he used was non-negotiable. That Michael Jordan was non-negotiable. Doesn't that sound just like what I just told you? Does it sound like Dan Kennedy? Does it sound like Jeff Bezos? Does it sound like Tony Robbins? Non-negotiable. You think that was part of what made Michael Jordan great? The fact that he didn't draw lines in the sand and back him up. He drew a line and either you were on the right side of that line or the wrong side of that line, but it was clear. And there was no compromise on it. Did he have a list of unacceptables? I guarantee you he did. And if you watch that documentary, I mean, he told you what they were himself. So all that said, let's recap today's class, which is your unacceptable list. Now, we all understand the concept of goals. If you don't, read the mental workbook where I explain it. And today we want to tell you the inverse of goals, which is your list of things that are unacceptable. Point number one, goal setting can be hard to do. It can be a challenge to take note of things that you want, especially if you never had them or you can't envision having them. So in the mental workbook, again, I'll help you with that. But here's the inverse. What are the things that you hate? What are the things that you don't want? What are the things that you can't stand being true? These are the things that go on your unacceptable list. Like I told you about that speaking gig where these people, I compromised on several things and set myself up for them doing some things that I finally deemed as unacceptable and would no longer allow. Point number two, do not rationalize the unacceptable. This is an idea I got from Tony Robbins. You look at all areas of your life where things are not ideal, and in these areas, stop doing what most people do, rationalizing and making them seem like they're not so bad, not as terrible as they actually are. The reason why you stop doing this is because this is how and why we allow small shit to become big shit. We allow little things to fester and become bigger than they actually are. In the words of Tony, not only must something change, but you must change it, and you must change it now. I heard a guy named Dan Kennedy say the following that I'll quote, and I'm not going to read the whole quote, but you rewind back and you can hear the entire thing when I just said it. You got to be demanding about what you want, not just wishful about what you want. Point number three, people will do more to eliminate pain than they will do to achieve pleasure. Pain gets our attention more than pleasure gets our attention. Pain gets our attention more simply because human beings are wired to do something about situations when we feel pain. We are not wired to do something about it when we are getting pleasure. So use those unacceptables to push you to action and reach the goals. They work in conjunction. And number four, notice what this unacceptable list is really about. Is about parameters, principles, rules, standards, and quality control. Miami Heat have quality control. You want to play on the team. Jeff Bezos, there's quality control. You want to work at Amazon. Like Dan Kennedy said, you got to be uncompromising about what you want. Michael Jordan had a list. He was a non-negotiable person. His own teammate said this guy was very non-negotiable, and that's why everybody on his team performed better with him than they did without him. All that said, two things I want you to do. Number one, get my daily motivation text by texting me at my number 305-384-6894. Get the daily motivation every day. And number two, get my Bulletproof Bulletin monthly magazine straight to your mailbox. I get your first issue free. Physical magazine straight to your mailbox. And then every month after that, I go on to bulletproofbulletin.com. And oh yeah, third thing, give me your bonus thing. Go to workonyourgameuniversity.com. Join my Bulletproof Mastermind, every week. We do a live training. That is my mastermind program. It's the only place you can work with me directly and get direct training from me at workonyourgameuniversity.com. Work on your game. Dre all day.